This is USVI News, your Virgin Islands connection.
Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining us for USVI News. I'm Emily Matson. Almost 10,000 stimulus checks are expected to be sent out this week throughout the territory, with more than half already on the way to Virgin Islanders. According to the VI Consortium, 5,498 checks went out Monday, and another 4,500 will be sent out sometime this week. Once distributed, these 10,000 checks will bring the territory's total stimulus check count to almost 20,000. And just a reminder for folks at home, you have until March 15th to file your 2019 taxes in order to be eligible for the latest stimulus payment. So you want to get those filed as soon as you can. Now to the latest on positive cases of COVID-19 in the territory. There are currently 81 active cases. St. Thomas is seeing the most, with 50 people currently testing positive, 28 in St. Croix and 3 in St. John. And as we first reported Monday, in terms of vaccinations in the territory, leaders here are truly doing an amazing job in getting VI residents vaccinated against COVID-19. Currently, there are 18,491 people either fully or partially vaccinated throughout the territory. We've now moved into phase 2 of the USVI phased vaccination plan, meaning seniors 65 and older and remaining essential government workers are now eligible to get a vaccine. We've also learned FEMA is supporting the territory's establishment of the community vaccination centers. The vaccination centers will be led by the territory and supported by the federal government on March 1st. So for more information or for help scheduling your vaccine, you can call the Vitima hotline at 340-777-VAX. That's 340-777-8227. It's open to take calls from 8:30 in the morning until 3 in the afternoon. You can also visit vitima.vi.gov to schedule an appointment or get more information about how to get the vaccine. President Biden says Americans need to fight the pandemic as one people. The president called for unity Monday, the day the country surpassed 500,000 deaths from COVID-19. Here's the latest now from the White House.
The coronavirus has now claimed more than 500,000 lives in the United States. President Biden put the sobering milestone in perspective.
That's more Americans who have died in 1 year in this pandemic than in World War I, World War II, and the Vietnam War combined.
The president urged Americans to remember and remain vigilant.
While we've been fighting this pandemic for so long, we have to resist becoming numb to the sorrow.
Vice President Kamala Harris and the second gentleman joined the president and first lady for a moment of silence as 500 candles lined the stairs of the South Portico, each representing 1,000 Americans killed by COVID-19.
President Biden has ordered U.S. flags to be flown at half-staff this week as the administration tries to get a handle on the unpredictable disease.
We are working on rolling out a lot of vaccines for a lot of people, and yet we still have a lot of disease.
The White House's coronavirus response team says vaccine production and distribution remain its top priorities. Recent storms have disrupted deliveries across the country.
I reported on Friday that we would catch up on deliveries by the end of this week. We now anticipate that all backlog doses will be delivered by midweek.
The CDC says more than 44 million people have received at least one dose of the Moderna or Pfizer vaccine. 19.4 million have received both shots and are fully vaccinated.
More than 200 care packages brought smiles to children in St. Thomas this past weekend. The Nigel Hodge Foundation prepared and distributed the packages to area kids. The foundation is in honor of Nigel Hodge, who died from an illness when he was just 11 years old. At the event at Fort Kristen, children picked up their care packages as well as a book to take home. The Nigel Hodge Foundation assists children and families who are affected with critical illnesses, which children are. Now it supports the emotional, physical, and educational wellness of area kids.
Losing a child is the hardest thing in all, I think. And so with him gone and I'm doing this and helping others, it really is helping me heal and helping me to cope with life, you know. So it's so important every time his body come around or the time of the establishment of the foundation, I must do something. If I'm alive, I have to do something. It depends on my existing, you know, and it makes me happy to see the children that come and get help, where they write me letters saying thank you. That does a whole lot for me. It keeps me going. So I really appreciate the children that comes out and, you know, support, and the parents that support us.
Well, I would like to say that Nigel is not there physically, but because of what his mom is doing, insists on doing since his passing, it's just like he's here, but you're not seeing him, because every day there's something about the foundation, and that calls you to remember every second of the day that there was someone named Nigel, and just to realize what is going on in his name. And dealing with the children, that was his pleasure. He liked children, he gives to children, he always wanted to be with children.
What a wonderful way to remember him on his, what would have been his 38th birthday. Well, a local organization gives back in such a kind way to caregivers in the VI who have certainly been going above and beyond during this pandemic. The Rotary Club of St. Croix, Harborside, donated 50 hand-stitched bags and sanitary supplies to the VI Department of Human Services. The donation, part of National Caregivers Day. The Rotary Club presented the donations to the DHS Family Caregivers Program staff at the Herbert Grigg Home for the Aged, which is on St. Croix. The bags were lovingly hand-stitched over several weeks by the club's vice president, Sandra Gerard-Loon, as a way to recognize the vital role caregivers are providing to the VI community. Well, for the past few years, Puerto Rico has been under a delayed reconstruction process since the Hurricane Irma and Maria struck the island. And today, in the middle of this pandemic, this process is certainly continuing. Arlenis Quinones has the very latest now from FEMA's Disaster Recovery Coordinator for Puerto Rico and the USVI.
What has been seen on the island since Hurricanes Irma and Maria struck the island has been devastating, to say the least. Since then, Puerto Rico entered into a massive reconstruction process that's been delayed because of many factors. We talked to the Federal Emergency Management Agency, better known as FEMA, to get an update on this process. To date, FEMA has obligated more than $22 billion for costs related to Hurricanes Irma and Maria, including projects to help rebuild infrastructure throughout Puerto Rico. Last year, on December, more funds were approved for permanent repairs on all municipalities of the island.
About 6,000 projects have been obligated, meaning that money has been assigned for those projects in the last 2 years. Last year, we made a lot of progress. Of those 6,000, about 4,000 were obligated in 2020. The total global amount of money has been obligated so far is about $23 billion that are going to help rebuild the infrastructure of Puerto Rico in a much more resilient way. We all know that Puerto Rico is not in good fiscal shape, and obviously, you know, the $23 billion injection in infrastructure reconstruction is going to do a lot to help the finances of Puerto Rico.
These funds subdivide themselves to be earmarked for different focuses, for example, roads and bridges or recreational areas. Once a municipality receives them, from that moment on, they become the ones in charge of the reconstruction process.
We have approved thousands of municipal projects. Most of those have to deal with roads. So you understand a little bit better the process. What we do is when we do the obligation, is when we assign a certain amount of money to a specific project. From then on, what happens is now the subrecipient, in this case the municipality, has to do the process of bidding, design, architecture, all the things that they need to do, and then go out and bid the project. And then we start reimbursement. Remember, FEMA is an agency that works doing reimbursements. So a lot of the work that they do, they start asking for reimbursement, and then we start paying out the money. Got to remember also that FEMA usually, the federal share is 75% federal, 25% state. In the case of Maria, that was changed to 90-10. So FEMA is providing 90% of the funds for all of those projects.
Almost half of the projects obligated by FEMA have as their main focus roads and bridges, which is a controversial topic on the island since the hurricanes. Reporting from Guaynabo, Puerto Rico, Alanis Quiñones.